cotton, and college football. It's where windshield wipers were invented and the first state to recognize Christmas as an official holiday. But it's also home to a hidden gem in the amusement industry, Alabama Adventure and Splash Adventure. Alongside Ryan Sir, I'm Don Helbig, and welcome to episode 81 of the Attractions Group podcast.
Yeah, that's an interesting fact about windshield wipers, Don. I learned something today, so I'm glad I bothered to come on the show. Hey, if you're new here, then welcome. You can find us on all your favorite podcast apps, Apple, Google, Spotify, you know the drill. And we also have a video version on YouTube. So if you're watching on there, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and leave a comment if you want to. Don, what we got going on today?
We're very excited to introduce Steve Thomas. He's the general manager of Alabama's Adventure and Splash Adventure, hidden gem, like I mentioned. And Steve,
Oh,
how you
I'm
doing?
doing great. I did not know about the windshield wipers either. That's pretty cool.
I try to educate every episode.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So let's just start from the beginning, Steve. So tell us about yourself and how you ended up at your park.
Yeah, it was a kind of interesting situation. So I was at Traders Village. I was the first amusement park director they had there. We created a amusement park there called Prairie Playland, and very Traders Village is very unusual property. It's a very very large flea market that just happened to have a amusement park or ride section in the middle of it, and we built the Prairie Screamer, which was a very, very daunting task, and decided to christen ourselves as Prairie Playland Amusement Park. And we had rides at San Antonio, Houston, and we also bought Western Playland, the amusement park in El Paso slash New Mexico. So, yeah, it was a pretty busy organization that, I was kind of in charge of the Grand Prairie, and I would help out with the other parks as well, too, as far as the amusement parks and rides guidance. And yeah, I just got a phone call one day and they said, "Hey, we got your name and number and looked you up a little bit, and would you be interested in, interviewing for the general manager position here at Alabama Adventure?" And I came out here. I love the park. It's just amazing, amazing amount of potential here. So I pulled on my boots and I moved over to Alabama.
Well, talk a little bit about the history of the park. I went there back in, like I said, 1999, 2000. Checked it out, and you're right. It's a beautiful park, a lot of potential there. But kind of talk about the history of the park. Where it started and where it is
Yeah,
today.
so it's kind of got a kind of a dark and stormy history, to be quite honest. When the park was first built as Visionland, it was a municipal park. So, all the communities around the area, they were, pitched in to build this park. And when you look at this park and, like our admin building, our maintenance, shop and everything else, money was really no object. It's amazing some of the infrastructure here. Um, and it was a problem with internal uh, project management. A gentleman just recently passed away in jail because he was sent to jail for frauding millions and millions of dollars from the project. So eventually that led to the downfall of Visionland. Other investment bankers and stuff like that have come in and had the property. They've gone bankrupt. All the rides are removed except for the Rampage. It's been a really, really beat up poor park. And 11 years ago, Dan Cook and Pat Cook came in and bought it, and they've slowly been bringing it up to the standard that it is now, and it's just got nowhere else but to keep on going up.
Well, the beginning of that story was sad, but I really like the ending. Hey,
Kind of like that Disney fairy tale, the Wicked Witch and everything else, but then they get saved at the end, and yeah, it's such a it's one of those things that it's such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful park, and as much as it's a fairly large park too, but there's also another like 70 acres to expand on. I mean, right now we can't hardly fill the park that we have, but there's so much more room to grow. It's insane.
yeah, it seems like a heck of an opportunity for the future. Can for those who don't know, you mentioned Rampage, but can you talk more about the attractions that you offer at the park?
And I will say, the primarily it's more the attention has been towards the water park. Uh, the thing about it is the water park, when Dan bought the property, he's the sole investor pretty much. So the water park is the easiest park to get up. The amusement park, they've been putting in rides and rides, but uh, they're the standard fare. We have Scrambler, we have Tilt a Whirl, we have a Zemper, a Galleon, um, quite a few kiddie rides. We have a Cheddar Chase, which is like a crazy mouse, and of course the Rampage, which is our big, giant, beautiful, beautiful wooden coaster.
Well, let's talk about the Rampage. That was the reason I went there to ride it. I absolutely loved it, but years ago, and over the years it starts to get a little bit rougher. But you're putting a lot of love into the ride.
We
Talk about that.
are, it's a stunning coaster. I mean, and it's set up in the pine trees and the hills. It's just very, very statuesque. I mean, it's just a beautiful coaster. Um, I at one time worked at Belmont Park. I was the director of food and beverage at Belmont Park in San Diego. So that's kind of where I started falling in love with wooden coasters, with the Giant Dipper. And I kind of see this as a continuation of that love affair, I guess you could say. But she's in bad shape. It's 26 years old. Um, I walked the track. Alan Messick from Northwestern Coasters, he came up 2 weeks ago, and we walked the whole track on Saturday so that I could get a another opinion on what the problems are and what could be fixed and what the next step should be. And he's great. Alan's a good friend of mine, and we got some good input. There's some of the places I thought were not so great or not that bad at all. There's actually some good track there, but there's some parts that are pretty bad. So this last year was it was a bad ride experience, and they ended up shutting it down a little bit early last year just because it was just really excruciatingly rough. So we've kind of got a game plan to, first of all, to save it, because I think there's too many coasters going down because of finances and everything else. And as a small family park, it's hard. It's really hard to say, oh, we're going to put $4 million into this wooden coaster that's already taking 10% of our profit every year just to keep it maintained. But we're going to do it. I've talked to a few companies that do restorations. We've talked to I've talked to Hunter at RMC, Gravity Group, a few others. To kind of see who can give us the best plan to get it back into running condition, and then over the next 2, 3, 4 years into amazing riding condition. I want to get it back up to the grandeur that it used to be.
Yeah, it was fantastic when I rode it.
And the other thing too is like Philadelphia Toboggan has been really great. They're going to overhaul our second train over the summer, and so as we do get the coaster more ready to reopen, we'll have a brand new train to put on it and everything else and stuff too. So it's a lot of planning, and it was one of the toughest decisions I've probably ever made in this business, was to shut the Rampage down this year. And of course, unpopular. I just hope that people understand the reasoning why it wasn't. It's for the best of everybody. And after Alan, got to walk the track and looked at things, he said, "Yeah, you made the right decision," which was, I actually had the first night of sleep in probably 3 months.
Wow. So Alabama Adventure and Splash Adventure is not only known for their rides and their water park, but they're also known for their events. Can you talk about some of the events that are coming up for 2024 to look forward to?
Yeah, so actually, we're trying to do a lot more in the off season. We have this big, huge park, big parking lot and everything else, but for the most part of the year, it's just locked up. So this year, we did a Christmas lights uh, activity where we actually had a company called Magic Lights, and they set up light displays and everything else. But what was different instead of a lot of places where you're just kind of going through parking lots or through, a state park or something like that, you actually got to drive through the park. So it was really, really cool for a lot of people to actually drive your car where, in the summertime you're walking and everything else. So, we had about 22,000 visitors for that, which was, for our first time ever doing it, I was pretty happy about. Um, we're going to do that again this next year and expand on it. This was, always the first years of learning. We've learned what worked, what didn't work, what we can improve on. Uh, we're also going to try to do a Halloween haunt. Um, those of you that have actually visited this park, we have this huge main street that is just, man, it's just built to do a haunt. It really is because it's got, we have a big star, what we call the Star Theater. It's a huge empty room that can do anything. We can do all kind of cool stuff in there, haunted houses, different things like that. Um, and we also were trying to do a car show this April. We'll see if it pans out. There's a lot of car shows happening in Alabama in April, but if we do not do it in April, it will be in September. But we're just doing different things like that. Our first day, May 10th, is an annual program we have called Cool Schools, where all the local schools get to come out at a very, very discounted rate. And we're also going to have, some other museums and other activities in the Birmingham area come set up and everything else as well, too.
Sounds like you got a lot going on.
It's one of those things is, with as a family owned park, the chances of getting more revenue to, improve things, we just have to take those advantages when we can. My gosh, we have this beautiful park. Why not try to do some stuff?
Yeah, it looks like you're doing all you can to ensure that when guests visit the park, it's a unique and memorable experience for them.
Yes, absolutely. And and that's one of the things that we're really concentrating on more so than ever. And we've always had really good guest service, but we're going to take it up to the next level this next year. I'm building the leadership team as we speak. Filling some pretty key positions, and one thing that I've always prided myself on at every property I've worked at is guest service is something that you just do not, you don't skimp on. You take care of everybody. They remember that. They tell their friends. They come visit too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, uh, your park offers, certain amenities outside of the normal scope, such as free Pepsi. Can you talk about these amenities and how they add value to the guests visiting the park?
Yes, I will tell you as the GM coming in, I was going, we give away free soda. What are you doing? And we also have free parking, free suntan lotion, free inner tube rentals, all the different things that a lot of amusement parks. Of course, I think some parks go a little bit crazy on it, but especially the parking. You know, for many parks, that's a huge chunk of revenue for their operating costs. It's free. And the sodas being free, the sun, we're actually sponsored by a skincare and clinic. So, they come in and they teach our kids, proper sunscreen protection and how to, the importance of wearing UV protection sunglasses and all those kind of things. So, our employees know what to do when they're actually out there in the hot Alabama sun. But yeah, it's a lot of free stuff, and our prices are really low too. We try to keep things as affordable as possible. Our area of Alabama is um, a little bit of an economic disadvantage, so we try to make it where it's affordable that everybody can come in and have fun. This is Alabama's park. We want everybody to come to it.
Now, you would think that with the free soft drinks, the free parking, and the other items that are free, that you're not asking your guests to continually throughout the day be digging into their wallet. And I would think that has an impact, and they think about coming back again because it was not a very expensive day for them at the park.
Absolutely, and and we're coming up with brand new food menu items this year that are going to be pretty exciting. and they're going to be very affordable too. I try to keep the price point as close to $10 as possible. And I think for us, I think for our demographic, for our guests, I think that's a pretty good price point that we can keep people happy, fed, and still wet and cool and having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So, are there any like additions or expansions planned for the park in the near future that us and our listeners should be excited about?
Oh, the big one. So this is the biggest project that has happened to this park since Dan Cook took over. We are building a very large family water raft ride right now. It is a family ride, so it actually has the cloverleaf, 4 people on a raft riding at the time. The name of it is called Slidewinder. We just finally named it a little bit ago. It has a conveyor system so that nobody has to carry the rafts up there or anything else. This is the biggest project that the park has done since it's in its 11 years. Um, we've also added some little things. So I really wanted to add some more, I guess, quality little things that maybe not be a big ride or big, huge capital project, but something that could add some more entertainment. So we're working with Sandy Creek. We actually just got one of their rock mining programs. I've ever seen those where you get the bags of sand and the kids can get rocks or arrowheads like that. So we got that. This year we're also going to have foam parties. So once or twice a day, we got some foam cannons. So we'll announce it over the intercom. Foam party happening here, and play some music, shoot some foam at kids so they can have fun. Something. It's not a huge cost to the park, but I think it adds real value.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about foam parties. The
So I
kids love it, the parents hate it, right?
Well, and that's a great thing is like we're a water park, so the kids can be all foamy and everything else and go run into the pool. We already I already talked to some of the water quality experts, and they said, "Oh no, it's fine. It's not going to bother the chemicals or the balance of the water at all." I said, "All right, so we're good."
So, how does your park cater to the different age groups? Just to make sure there's something for everyone in the family to enjoy?
Yeah, and that's one of the things I when I came out here to check out the park before accepting the job, I was very impressed with. There is everything from toddler splash areas to we have Rocket Racer, which is a very high speed uh, water slide, and pretty much everything in between. We have the lazy river. We have I guess there's a group that comes out every day, and they're all a little bit older than our spring chickens are, and they come out and they just spend the day on the lazy river and in one of the cabanas, just having a fun time, just talking with each other and friends and watching the kids play, different things like that. So there is a little bit of there's a little bit of something for everybody. You know, even with the small area, the small kid splash pads to the bigger splash pads to the numerous rides, even the wave pool. I mean, that's the other thing that that almost any age can go into that one, and we supply free life jackets to go for kids if they want to wear those into the wave pool as well too.
Steve, you mentioned that you, generally speaking, try to keep the food items priced around the $10 mark. So let's expand on that. What kind of food items do you have? Like, what are some of your favorites?
Well, I'm pretty excited because this year we're going to be introducing tachos. So think nachos, but made with tater tots. So we're going to have a couple of different varieties. We're going to have chili cheese. I think we're kind of going between a barbecue pulled pork and a Philly cheesesteak for the other topping, and taco meat with nacho cheese as well too. And the other thing that's going to be kind of cool is pretty much every food and beverage venue is going to have a secret menu item. So I did this at Belmont Park, and if you know Ken Whiting,
Yes.
from Santa Cruz,
Oh yeah.
he came to visit, and he was kind of blown away. Secret menus, what? But it's something that especially even more so now that with social media as prevalent as it is, it's a big thing. So for our taco stand, we're going to have the kitchen sink where it's a a larger order of tater tots, and it's going to have all three toppings on it. So we're going to name that the kitchen sink. We're going to have, we have, cheeseburgers, chicken fingers. We're going to have Dole Whip this year as well too, which it was amazing. We didn't have soft serve at all here, and I was going, what? It's hot here. People want ice cream, so we're going to have ice cream, frozen yogurt, and Dole Whip, and two different flavors for that. We're going to try turkey legs as well too, something that that hasn't been done here as well too. So yeah, and we're in our funnel cake stand, we're going to have another secret menu item. Is called. Well, I'm giving away all the secrets to you guys. I don't
Well,
know.
it's a reason for people to listen. You see.
Right, I guess. So in our funnel cake stand, we're going to have a funnel cake called Death by Chocolate, and it's going to be a chocolate-based funnel cake with chocolate icing and chocolate sprinkles. And if you can eat the whole thing, good on you, because it's really rich and decadent.
That's how I want to go out. Death by chocolate.
There you go.
Well, Steve, it sounds like your guests, they'll come for the rides, but they're going to stay for the food.
I I think it's one of those things that I think a lot of amusement parks kind of miss the mark. Instead of offering like really quality, and there's some great ones out there. Silver Dollar City, Dollywood. I mean, they have great food, and it's people come there sometimes just for the food. I think it should be a really good mix of everything. I think there should be something for everybody to come out and enjoy.
So, Steve, in your role as general manager, so what are some of the behind the scenes aspects of running the park that might surprise our audience?
I think it's probably how much manual labor that the general manager actually does. We operate on a pretty skeleton staff during the off season. We only have 10 to 12 employees and stuff. So we all pitch in and do a little bit of everything. My aquatics manager is painting and doing concrete work. We're working on the wave pool. We just relined all the air chambers and stuff like that to make it a lot more efficient. So the waves this year, you could almost surf on them if we wanted to. It's going to be it's the best. It's the best the wave pool's been running since the park's open. The other thing is as a GM, I'm more so than any other place more involved in the ride maintenance, the safety, um, and of course the standard stuff that general managers do is doing the leadership, training, empowering employees, making sure they feel that they're valued and that they're very very important to the operations of our park.
That's awesome. Yeah, with these little parks, sometimes people don't understand that, when there's six
You
employees,
do it all.
you do everything. So I just one more question for clarification about Rampage. So it's got extensive work that is going to be done. It's going to become a great experience. Will the ride be open this summer, and then it'll be like transitionally fixed over off seasons, or is it going to be closed for a while?
We close this season. This season, and hopefully we'll have it open next season. It's just that the work that needs to be done is just too extensive to operate this year. We even have some pretty serious issues with our lift hill. So some of the sprockets aren't aligning the way they should be, and that just creates a bad situation. So I you know I made that call. Dan, was said, this is your expertise. You're an ICAE. You make the call. And yeah, I just didn't feel comfortable opening it this year summer. And I know there's a lot of people that are very very upset about that, and I get it. I really really do. But
But it's the right thing to do, really. I mean, it really is.
it's a hard one to call. And that was, like I said, that's one of the hardest decisions I think I've ever made since my 20 years in this industry. Is saying I'm going to shut down a ride for the summer. That's the kiss of death. You always keep every single ride going as much as possible and everything else and stuff. So, and especially, closing down your number one ride, the showcase was really hard. I mean, when I came to Winterfest, I had, I've got a lot of friends at Ace and everything else. I love Ace, and it was great talking to them and kind of explaining it. And and most members of ACE know, but a lot of them were actually very, very supportive, saying, I know that was a tough decision. You did good, Steve, and that helped a lot too.
Well, it beats the alternative, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So, Steve, if you want to keep up with, Rampage as well as everything else going on with the park, where can people find the information on Alabama Adventure?
Pretty well about our social media pages. So I have a gentleman that a lot of people may know. Alex is came from Frontier City. He's a amusement park nerd just like us, like me and stuff like that. So he's also an amazing drone pilot. So if any of you that were at Winterfest, the presentation that I did I just showcased a lot of his zone footage, his drone footage, because it's just spectacular. I mean, it really, really is. And we'll do kind of tongue-in-cheek videos from time to time, especially when we announced our Christmas lights and our new ride that we're coming out. We hadn't even named it at that time, so we did another video of that one. So we try to do a lot of stuff in-house. One of the biggest projects that we have this year. So yeah, I haven't even talked about the big project we have. So we are buying a 30 by 30 LED screen. To go along the highway. So we have a huge sign right on Interstate 20. We're right off the interstate. So we're getting a huge 30 by 30 LED video screen to advertise not only our park but sponsors and different things like that. So that was another big expense that we undertook this year, but I think it's going to pay off many times over.
I bet you it does.
Yeah. Now, Steve, you're go ahead.
The biggest digital sign in the state of Alabama.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's impressive. All right. Well, Steve, you're from Texas, now in Alabama. So if Alabama and Texas were to meet, say, in the college football championship game, who are you rooting for?
Okay. I am a diehard Longhorn fan, and I love Alabama. I do, but I will probably have to cheer for the Longhorns. I played college baseball, and I was supposed to go play baseball at University of Texas. That was my dream. The star that you shoot for kind of thing. It didn't work out, and I ended up joining the Navy. But I will have to cheer for Texas. I know a lot of people may get mad about that, but if Texas isn't in it, I'm cheering for Alabama. I love college football. I'm not a big professional football guy. I love college football.
And when I was growing up, those were the two, Texas and Alabama, were the college football teams, back in the 70s, when you had Earl Campbell, with Texas, Richard Todd with Alabama, that's going way back. But those were the big schools. Those were the ones that were on TV all the time. And I always saw just the passion and everything of the fans in both states. And I just thought that'd be a phenomenal place to be if you're a college football fan.
It is, and it's the thing about it is too here is you don't see a car driving down the road with without Alabama license plates on it, Alabama stickers, Alabama caps, Alabama T-shirts. I mean, it is a fan-centric base here. I mean, and deservedly so. I mean, it's a storybook, football organization. It really, really is. But they get pretty fanatical here, though. It's we're right down the road from Tuscaloosa, so it's only 35, 40 minutes away, and it's kind of insane how traffic gets built up on game days.
Yeah, completely agree. So, uh, just one more time, like, what's your website? Where can people find information on Alabama Adventure?
Oh, sure. It's www.alabamaadventure.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been very informative. I love learning about your park. It's really cool.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I enjoyed this a lot too. It's fun talking. It's fun talking shop with people that know that what happens and stuff. And it's kind of neat that conversations like this actually can other enthusiasts and people that are curious about the music park industry get to get to find out what really happens with things, how decisions are made, and how work is actually done behind the scenes. I like that.
Perfect.
Yeah, when I saw you at the Winterfest event doing your presentation, I was like, I've got to get him on the Attracts Group podcast because what you were talking about was just so interesting.
Yeah, and again, circling all the way back, this park has amazing potential. It's just I've never seen a place more so, and we're going to get there. I mean, I've already created 2, 3, 5, 10-year plans. So hopefully by year 10, I'll be able to sit back a little bit, maybe in a hammock by the wave pool, but I doubt it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for being on the show, Steve.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you guys.
AlabamaAdventure.com is where you want to go for all the latest information on Alabama Adventure and Splash Adventure. Cool.
Thank you very much,
Thank
guys.
you.